Hello everyone, and yeah, hello everyone. In this video, I'm going to walk you through one of my portfolio projects called Moviereserv. Okay, so Moviereserv is a movie reservation platform that allows users to browse movies, view showtimes, reserve seats, and then manage their bookings. Okay, so it was originally built as a backend only system, and it was inspired by roadmap.sh. Okay, so it's one of the backend projects. Okay, on roadmap.sh. Let me show you. Yeah. So there is it. That's the first advanced project. Okay, so I worked on it like let me see. TypeScript. Yeah, so that's my solution. I submitted it about 7 months ago, but recently I worked on converting it from a backend only system to a full stack application. Okay, so the main goal is to demonstrate my ability to engineer production radio applications with complex business logic, straight data integrity rules, and role-based access control. Okay, great. So yeah, and from the project details too, that's basically the go-to. Okay, so the goal is to help you understand how to implement complex business logic, for example, seat reservations, scheduling, thinking about data models and relationships and complex queries. Okay, great. So let me quickly walk you through the project details. So the requirements is that they actually didn't give us any implementation details, so they're encouraging us to think about the design and implementation of the system ourselves. Okay, but they give us some requirements. So we need to have user authentication and authorization. We also need a way to handle movie management and reservation management, and they give us some considerations too. Sorry, okay. So first of all, you need to think about the data model and then the relationship between the entities. Okay. Um, sorry. Next, you need to think about how you avoid overbooking and how to handle seat reservations. We also need to think about how to handle scheduling of show times and then reporting of reservations and how to handle authentication and authorizations. Okay, and we give us some additional info here. So this is a quite complex project and we'll try to think about the implementation of the system. Okay. Sorry. So you can use any programming language. I use TypeScript and in GitHub is of choice. I use PostgreSQL, PostgreSQL, and whatsoever. I use a relational database called PostgreSQL. Okay. So once you have a finished project, you'll have a good understanding of how to implement complex business logic, think about data model and relationship, complex queries, and you can extend the project by adding features such as payment processing and notification. So the additional features I actually added was the notification. Okay, we'll get to that soon. All right, so okay, I don't know. Let's get started. Okay, so this is the full stack application. Okay, there is the front end, the server side is there. These are the APIs. Okay, great. So yeah, let's begin with the features. Okay, so the first feature I like to talk about is the authentication and authorization and also role-based access control. Okay, great. So there's a robust authentication system with JWT, allowing users to sign up, sign in, reset their passwords, and build their accounts. Okay, so it's like a full cycle. Okay, so you sign up, sign in, use the application. You forget your password, you can reset it, and um, you can delete accounts too. Okay, so when you delete accounts, stuff like your reservations and all those will also be deleted as well. So there's going to be a cleanup. Okay, great. So yeah, and following best practices such as storing the access token in memory and then also the refresh tokens in HTTP only cookies. Okay, so this way they can be like hacked. An attacker can write a script to retrieve the, for example, the refresh token if you store it in local storage. Okay, so with by storing it in HTTP only cookie, it makes it hard to access it. Okay, it's kind of impossible to access it with a script. Though, yeah, great. So there is also automatic token refresh. Okay, so the access token lasts for 15 minutes and the refresh token lasts for 7 days. Okay, but there is rotation. So what that means is if the access token which is short lived for the 15 minutes, if it expires, okay, um, the first token I've implemented the access instance so that when the access token expires, sorry, and there's a particular error that's written by the server side. Okay, so based on this error, the access instance will know that okay, the access token has expired. So let me refresh. Okay, so to send a request to the refresh endpoint to get a new access token. Okay, and allowing that the refresh token will be reset as well. Okay, so this way, as long as you keep accessing the application within 7 days, you wouldn't have to sign in again. So, okay, so you automatically be continually signed in unless you are inactive for 7 days. Okay, so that's when the refresh token also expire and try to access the application to ask you to sign in again. Okay, so that's it about the authentication and then authorization. Okay. I think that's the authentication. Yeah. So authorization, which is kind of related to the database access control. So here I'm using Node.js guards and custom decorators. Okay, ensuring that only the admin, which is in this case me, can manage the auditoriums, seats, movies, and then showtimes. Okay, great. So let me show you an example. Try and sign in here. I'm going to show you an example of the Rebase access control. Okay. So let me try and get my email and password. Don't worry, I'll change this one later. Okay. So let me sign in. I'm running this one locally. Okay. To show you some stuff. Okay. Alright. Okay. Okay, so as you can see, I just signed in. So when you sign in, you get the new access token and some info about you. Okay. So the name, your email, and your role. So as you can see, I'm the admin. Okay, and I'll get the privilege to perform actions such as creating showtimes, making reservations. Sorry, the making of reservation can be done by any user. Okay, and then so I handle the showtime creation, update and delete. I handle the mutation of auditoriums and mutation of seats. So, okay, so that's all handled by me, the admin. So ordinary users can't access these endpoints. Okay, so let me show you that right now. Let me sign in as a different user. That's not an admin. So let me get the password of this guy. John Doe. Okay, so I'm trying to sign in as John Doe. Okay, so I just signed in as John. Okay, so I've got the new access token. Okay, as you can see, the role is an admin, which means not admin. Okay, so let me get this access token. Um, and authorize. I think everybody calls it authorize. Whatever. All right, so yeah, let's try and access an endpoint that's only restricted to the admin. Okay, for example, let me try and create a showtime. Okay, so like I said, Showtime is an endpoint that's only accessible by um, an admin. So if you're not an admin, you're not supposed to be able to create a Showtime. So as you can see, you get a 403 endpoint. Sorry, 403 error. Okay, meaning you can't, or you are not supposed to be able to access this how do you call it, endpoint. Okay, but if I sign in as an admin, okay, if I sign in as an admin like Gideon, alright, so if I sign in as an admin, I can access this Showtime endpoint. Okay, so let me get the token now. Forgot to take the token. Let me get the token and use it to authenticate. Okay, so let me log out and log in again with the admin credentials. Okay, so now that I've authenticated as an admin, I can access this endpoint. Okay, so yeah, great. So this error means there is invalid in data key. Okay, so it's telling us that the start time has been in the future. So this one is outdated. Let me try it out again. Execute. Okay. Start time and benefit. This is 2025. Oh, so let me use 2026. 2026. Right. So something went wrong. Great. So yeah, it actually works though, but the problem here is I'm using this not invalid information. Okay, so when you're creating a showtime, it has to be related to a particular movie ID. Okay, and these are just how do I put it? These are just some random data. Okay, that show you how the period has to be like. Okay, but I didn't get a 403 forbidden error, which means I'm not able to access the endpoint. Okay, great. So that's it about the role-based access control. Okay, as you continue, I'll show you more, explain more about that one. Okay, great. So yeah, authentication and role-based access control has been handled correctly. Okay, so let's move on to the next feature, which is movies. Okay, great. So yeah, um, from the requirements, so admin should be able to add, update, and delete movies. Okay, but from the endpoint here, you realize that there's no movie related there's no movie related endpoint here. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm relying on this external API called TMDB, the movie database. Okay, so this is a really great API for working with movie or TV shows related projects. Okay, it's free to use, so you just have to get your API key and then you can access it. Okay, great. So I'm using this API to handle all my movie related stuff. Okay, so adding movies, removing them, updating them. Okay, but I can't update because um the movies they are online. Okay, so I can only control whether I want to view a particular movie to my users or the users of the application or not. Okay, so what I'm doing is if you come here to user, let me log in. So what I've done is okay, all right, it will come. This is out. Let me session out. Let me log in. Yeah, but what I wanted to show you is that I have okay, it has come. Yeah, so let me go to user. Okay, so there is an um yeah, So yeah, so you can add a favorite or not. Okay, a movie to your favorites, or not as your favorite. Okay, so I wrote a script to fetch the top movies from the movie DB. Okay, so you can go to the movies endpoints. This one is right here. Yeah, rated movies. Yes. So no, sorry. This one is movies. Okay, I see. Okay. Yes, so this endpoint top rated. Okay, so if you come to this endpoint, you can get to the top rated movie. So that's what I did. I got a certain number of top rated movies. Okay, and I added them to my favorites, all of them. Okay, so now the movies that are being displayed here. Okay, I'm not signing, so it's not going to count. Okay. The movies that are displayed there are those that have marked as top rated or my favorite. Sorry, those are marked as my favorite. Okay. So those are the ones that are going to be displayed for the user to see. Okay. Yeah. So that's basically what I'm doing. So if I don't want to show a movie, I just have to move it from my favorites. Okay. Great. So that one is handled. Okay. Right. So let me sign in and show you how the movies page is like. So let me sign in as a normal user, John Doe. Okay, great. So on the movies page, you can see all the movies. Okay, so these are the top rated movies that are part of my favorites. Okay, so you can search for a particular movie. So as you can see, there are eight movies now. Okay, so you can search for movie by its title. You can filter by the release date. So if let's say you want to only show movies that were released since like 2000, okay, so you just pick the year, let's say 2010 or let's say 2020. Pick the year, pick the dates. Okay, so movies that are released since January 1st, 2020. So they're all going to show. With this filter, you only have 30 movies that matches this. Okay, you can apply more filters. So let's say I'm searching for um let me see, yeah, that K-pop this thing. Okay, so you can search for that one too, and yeah, you can. So I don't know if you realize that, but you see the search by title doing something called debouncing. Okay, so if you enter, it takes some time before it is reflected in the URL. Okay, so when I start typing, it takes like 300 milliseconds to update. Okay, so this way it doesn't change right away. Okay, so that's like an optimization thing. Okay, yeah, great. So another thing you can do is also filter by genre. Okay, so these are the available genres. You have action, adventure, and so on. Okay, so let's say I want something related to war. Okay, so if there is no movies found, that was released from January 1st, 2020, and belongs to the war genre. Okay, so let's say I add action. Okay, so there are three movies that fit these filters. Okay, so you can also collect filters and then go back to the default. Okay, great. There's also sorting. You can sort by title A to Z or Z to A, by release date, newest first or oldest first, and also by their rating. Okay, so whether you want to see the top rated first, which is in this case Shawshank Redemption, a very great movie, and The Godfather Next Down is also great. And yeah, you can also sort by lowest rating first, okay, which in this case is the Wolf of Wall Street, sorry. Okay, but default is title by title A to Z, okay. Alright. Another thing you can do is filter to only see movies that currently have a Showtime available. Okay, so in the meantime, there are only two movies. It's a Wonderful Life and then Psycho that have a Showtime available. Okay, great. So that's about the movies. Okay, so you can sort, you can search, which is filtering. And then one last thing I want to mention is pagination. Okay, So we have 88 movies available here, but not all are displayed at once. Okay, that could lead to like very slow load time. Okay, or to make it lag. Okay, so we display 20 at a time. Okay, so we are showing 20 of 88 movies. If you want to load more, you just click on this one and to add additional. Okay, you just look through until you get to the end, and then you continue like that. Okay, great. So yeah, that's it about the movie related stuff. Okay. The next thing I want to talk about is Showtime. Okay. Okay, so like I said earlier, Showtimes is managed by only me, the admin. Okay, so I can create the Showtimes and then I can remove them. Like I can add or remove them. Okay, so in Showtimes there is an endpoint. Okay, so it's an endpoint to create a Showtime. You get all the Showtimes. This is accessible to all users, but the mutation endpoints, which are the create, updates, and deletes, are only accessible by me. Okay. So, and this one too, the reports. Okay, so I'll get to that later. Okay, great. So yeah, creating a showtime, you just have to fill in the form. Okay, so the start time you want the showtime to begin, the end time, the price, and then the particular movie is linking to. Okay, so like I said here, I'm using the movie DB API. Okay, so those movies have IDs. Okay, so if I'm creating a showtime, it has to be about or it has to link to a particular movie that exists in my movies list. Okay, so you add that movie ID and the auditorium that the showtime is going to be shown. Okay, so these are the auditorium endpoints too. Okay, I've already seeded the auditoriums along with their seats. Okay, so each auditorium has their seat. Okay, I've already handled that already. Okay, and then showtime creation to I'm not manually creating the showtimes. Okay, so I wrote another script for that. Okay, and I actually converted it into an endpoint. Okay, so all I have to do is send this script this request to this endpoint. Okay, so what is going to do is let me give me a few minutes. Okay, all right. Yeah. So I can see the show times. Okay, by default, the count or the number of show times I want to create is 8. Okay, but I can pass in any number that I want. Okay, so to see the show times, what it does is um find the auditoriums. Okay, and it picks like random auditoriums. Okay, and then for each of my existing movies, okay, it's going to create a showtime with that movie and then that auditorium. Okay, and it's going to choose random dates within the next 2 months. Okay, so let me clarify. To create a showtime, we need a start time, an end time, and a price, a movie ID, and an auditorium. Okay, so the start time and end time, like they're usually like maximum TRS in between. Okay, but they have to be in the future. Okay, and then like I said, I'm choosing random start time and end times within the next 2 months. Okay, and then some random price. Okay, and the movie too. I'm going to fetch all my existing movies and then pick any random amount depending on the quantity of showtimes I want to see. Okay, and then I'm going to choose one of the available auditoriums to down to by random. Okay, so this way it's like random. All right, so let me show you an example. I'm going to see hopefully my access token has been expired yet, so I have to get a new one. So I'm going to see 4 showtimes. Okay, okay, it's taking a while. Probably because my machine is slow. Okay, so it's successful. So as you can see, we have 4 showtimes that succeeded. Initially, we had just 2 showtimes, but you see, after the seeding, we have like 6 now. Okay, so it's immediately reflected in the how do I call it? the online version of the application. Okay, so I'm running this locally. As you can see, localhost. Okay, it's immediately reflected. Okay, so currently we have 6 showtimes now. If I go to the showtimes page, I'll be able to see all of them. Okay, so they're also displayed in the form of cards. Okay, and you just have to yeah, make a reservation, and then your reservation is booked. And you can go and watch the movie or the showtime. Okay, that's basically it. But it's not like actual the same. Okay, it's a portfolio project. You get it? All right. So yeah. So the showtimes page also features filtering, sorting, and pagination, similar to how the movies page is like so. So let me add two more to make it eight. Okay. See, as you can see, yeah, by default they are sorted by time earlier. So the most upcoming one, the most recent one that is about to happen. Okay. So in this case, this one is January 8th, which is today. You see, because the time is random, it's around 11 p.m. Okay, which is very unlikely in real life. Okay, yeah, I'm not sure though. Okay, so yeah, from that to this, so it's 2 hours 32 minutes. Maybe okay. This one is Saturday, January 17th. Okay. So one cool thing about this is if the time, the start time and end time, like in different days, like this one. Okay. So the start time is in January 8th. The end time is in January 9th. Okay. So it automatically shows you that. Okay, by they all are in the same day, just shows one day. Okay, so Saturday, January 17th. Okay, and it shows the Saturn and time. Okay, so yeah, they're all within 3 hours range, which makes sense. Most movies are like that. Okay, great. So this one is in auditorium. These two were there already, I think. So these are the new four, I guess. Yeah. So this one is in auditorium 12. Just I seeded it with random numbers like from auditorium 1 to auditorium 200 or so, probably 88. Yeah. So yeah. And they were created, okay, and the seats available by default. Let's say this let me see, view the reservation. I reserved 2 seats. Okay, so that means initially this auditorium had 220 seats. Okay, but since this user has reserved 2 seats, it's going to be just 218. Okay, so if there is no reservation, yeah, there's likely no reservation for this one. Okay, by any other users, because I just created them. Okay, so the available ones represent the default number of seats for that particular auditorium. How that makes sense? Right. So I think that's all about showtimes too. Okay, great. So the next thing I'd like to talk about too is reservations. Okay, making reservations. Okay. So yeah, if you want to make a reservation, let me choose for a new movie. Let's say which one haven't I watched? I've watched this. Okay, let's say this one. Okay, so let's say I want to make a reservation for this. All I have to do is to click make reservation. Okay. So it's going to show this nice dialog for you to choose the seats that you want to choose or to reserve. Okay. Yeah, so the seats are categorized into rows. Okay, so row A, row B, row C, and so on. Okay, and they are nicely displayed for you. And there is this nice UX feature where you can search for a particular seat. Let's say I'm looking for seats at E4. E4, I can do that. Okay, great, very cool. So the assumption is that the display, I don't know, where the display of the movie will be somewhere here. Okay, so you can just pick probably a seat that's in the middle or something. Okay, so there is this legend also showing you that when a seat, these are the seats, when a seat is styled like this, it means it's available. It's okay, so I just selected a seat, so it's styled like this. And when it's reserved is disabled. Okay, so let me show you an example of that. I tried to make a reservation here. See, these two seats are disabled because they've been reserved by this user. Okay, great. So yeah, let's make a reservation for this one. I'm going to choose the middle seats in the first row. Okay, two seats. Let's say near my partner. Okay, so we reserve these seats, and the total cost is 31 dollars. Okay, so and you can see that cost per ticket is 15.5. Okay, so for two users that's going to be 31 point um 00. Okay, so this nice then will help you know the amount you have to pay right away. Okay, so let me enter that. Let's say I enter 14. Okay, maybe 50 dollars. Let me enter 50. Yeah, if there is, so there are some client side validation. Okay, let's say I enter 13. I try to submit. Okay, is it going to allow? So this is the client side validation. So I'm ensuring that the user is entering the right amount before I even proceed to submit the request for the server side to also handle it at its end. Okay, so that's really good. It meets the road on the server side. Okay, great. So yeah, let me enter. So the user can enter either the exact 31. See, as soon as I enter the 31, the error is gone. But if I choose something less than, it will come back. Okay. So it's finding that you have to enter amount, or the amount must be greater than or equal to the number of seats times price times the price. Sorry. Okay. So let's say I'm entering 15. 15. Okay. So when I'm done, I'll just submit and the reservation will be made. Okay. So this is going to take quite a while, okay, because there are lots of stuff is going on in the server side, okay. So the reservation is made, and as you can see, my balance is 19, okay, and I can now view my reservation. I reserved the seats A5 and A4, A4 and A5. Okay, great. So let me walk you through what's going on when I make a reservation. Okay. So first of all, you have to choose your seats. You've done that already, and then you submit. Okay. So when you submit, okay, there is going to be some database transaction. Okay. So what that means is we are going to perform a lot of stuff that affects the database. Okay, and we are doing it in a transaction because you don't want to, in simple terms, you want to ensure atomicity. Okay, so what that means is um, if one of the transactions or the steps you are doing the transaction fails, okay, you want to exit or want to undo all the steps, the initial mutations that you've done to database so far. Okay, so the goal is that it should be all on none. So either all the steps you are doing the transaction is successful or not. Okay, so that's the goal. So first thing we do is we need to validate that the Showtime which we are creating a reservation for exists. Okay, we don't want to create a reservation for a Showtime that doesn't exist. Okay, so let me show you. From here, you can see that when creating a reservation, we need the Showtime ID, the seats IDs, the amount paid, and the status. By default, it's confirmed. Okay, but these are the first three. Those are the new ones that we need. Okay, so we are listening this from the client side. Okay, so the client side can just send anything. Someone can just use like Kel or Postman to send a request to this as long as they have the valid access token. Okay, and because they are not using the actual front-end application, there is no way to validate that. So if let's say I wasn't doing server-side validation, it will like save into the database invalid data or invalid information. Okay, so that's the main point of server-side validation. Okay, you don't want to store invalid information in our database. Okay, so first of all, we are checking if the the showtime exists. Okay, so you're going to make a reservation. You need to ensure that that showtime exists. Okay, and if it exists, you also need to check that it hasn't passed. Okay, so a showtime might exist. Initially, I seeded the showtimes with 8. Okay, but when you came in first, you realize that it was just 2 that way. Are still in the future or hasn't passed already. Okay, the rest has passed. Okay, so we also need to check or ensure that the showtime hasn't passed already. So we don't want to make a reservation to a showtime that's in the past. Okay, it doesn't make sense, right? Okay, great. So after that, you also need to check that the seat the user is reserving are also valid. Okay, so they are providing seat IDs. Okay, so you need to check our database to ensure that these seat IDs are there. Okay, and they are valid. Okay, great. After that, we need to check if the amount they are paying is what they're supposed to pay. Okay, so for example, the reservation you just made costed $31. Okay, so we need to ensure that they are paying either $31 or more. If it's more, we're going to provide the balance to them later on. Okay, great. So after that check, we need to see if the seats that the user reserved are also in the auditorium. Okay, so this showtime is already sorry, yeah, this showtime ID is already linked to a particular auditorium. Okay, so during the validation, you check if these seat IDs exist in that particular auditorium that the showtime is going to be played. You get it? Okay, so we don't want a case where the user is picking a seat IDs that doesn't belong to a particular auditorium. That wouldn't make sense to write. Okay, so these are examples of the complex business logic that they were um, telling us to take into consideration. Okay, great. So after ensuring that the seats are valid and then exist in that particular auditorium, you also need to check that the auditorium is not full yet. Okay, so if the auditorium has a capacity of, let's say, 145, you need to ensure that it's not full. Like people has already reserved all the 145 seats. Okay, so we don't want a case where we are making a reservation for an auditorium that is already full. Okay, great. And then after that, after all these checks are passed, then we will create a reservation. Okay, so that's why it takes quite a long time. Okay, and like I said, the reason why we are running this in a transaction is so that if uh, any of these checks fail, the whole thing fails because we want all of them to pass. Okay, and the benefits of doing this in a transaction is so that if, let's say, there are 2 requests at the same time, okay, each trying to modify the database, is going to try kind of make sure that like one runs and then the other comes next. Okay, so this way we are not let's say we are checking at the same time. Okay, but one user has already one might be successful before the other, even though all the checks passed. Okay, probably one has a faster internet than the other. Okay, although the request came in at the same time. Okay, so one might be successful than the other, even though that seat has already been reserved. Okay, great. So that's why we are running it. In, another reason we are running it in a transaction, and that's probably the main reason. Okay, the other one is to ensure that atomicity. Okay, great. So yeah, now that the user has a reservation, what they have to do is probably go to the auditorium during that daytime, go and watch Showtime, their movie or whatever. Okay. But that's it, the end for this application. All it does is to user browse the Showtimes and make a reservation. That's all. Okay. So it's just a portfolio project, like I explained earlier. So if you have a reservation, you can decide to cancel it, or else you don't want these seats anymore. You can cancel it and then reserve other seats, okay? Or if you want additional seats, you can just reserve additional seats. So let's say I'm coming with some friends and they would like to sit on our site. Okay, I can reserve additional seats and I'll pay for this time. I'll pay exactly 31. Okay, so I'll just submit. and the reservation will be created for me. Okay, so to update soon. So there are 141 seats available. We have two reservations. Okay, great. So now let's talk about reservation management. Okay, or yeah, managing your booking. Okay, so you have been booked two sets of seats. Okay, so let's say our friends they say they're not coming anymore. Okay, so once you cancel this reservation, all you have to do is to cancel. Okay, but there is confirmation to ensure that like perhaps you didn't click this mistakenly. Okay, so if you really want to cancel, you just cancel. Okay, great. But you realize that that also took quite some time before canceling. Okay, so what you are doing is you need to check. So here is the endpoint for canceling reservation. Okay, so you send a push request to this endpoint. Okay, so the reservation ID, you pass it along. Okay, so what you are doing is you need to check indeed exists. Okay, and you need to check that it hasn't already been cancelled. Okay, so like I said, the server side is simply listening to the client side, and it's not guaranteed that a user will be using this front end. If that's guaranteed, then we say that okay, because we are doing client side validation, so we are pretty sure that nobody's going to send a request to an already cancelled reservation. Okay, but here's the case where the API is open. Okay, so anyone can use like something like Postman to send a request to the API. Okay, okay, so that's the reason why server side validation is really important. Okay, so check that the reservation exists, then check that it hasn't already been cancelled. Okay, then after you have to delete the seats that were reserved. Okay. So as you can see here, there initially 141 seats available after I made the two sets of reservations. Okay. But after I deleted the other one, the seats are now 143. Okay. So that means the initial seat that was reserved has been deleted. Okay. So now they are available for other people, or if I want to reserve it again, okay, I can do it. Okay. Great. So that makes sense. Okay. So once all those checks pass, then I'll just change the status of the reservation to cancel. Okay. Great. So that's basically it. All about reservations too. Okay. Yeah. So I think that's the main meat of the whole application, Movie Reserve. Okay. Like I said, this is like a portfolio project, and I built it to like initial one was to build it to like get better at Next.js, which is my main framework for server side building server side applications. Okay, so I wanted to get good at it. Okay, so I tackled this advanced backend project on roadmap.sh. Okay, yeah. So recently I just decided to revamp my projects. This is one of the best projects I've worked on. So I decided to convert it into a full stack application. Okay, because not everyone knows how to like use the API. I'm comfortable with just using this API to access the application, but not everyone will be able to do that. Okay, great. So yeah, I've made a reservation here. Okay, I'm going to sign in as a different user to show you how um, someone will also see it. Okay, so as this user, I have two reservations for this movie and this movie. Okay, if I sign in as a different user, UI. Okay, okay. So let me sign in as the admin. Okay, so the admin is also a user, meaning they can also make reservations and the like. Okay, so as you can see, I'm seeing a totally different UI. Okay, which makes sense. If a different user sign in, they shouldn't be able to see the reservations of other users. Okay, right. So initially, let me show you. As you can see, this is has been reserved to. So I can just take another seat. Let's say the first two in the middle here. Okay. Uh, the amount 39 and enter 40 here. Great. So I've also made my reservation. Okay, and I can see it by signing. here to John Doe. John Doe is also know that some other users make a reservation by seeing that the seats available sorry the seats available now is 216. It was 218, right? Okay. And if I view this to, I'll see that these couples have made a reservation here. Okay. So I can decide to join them beyond sit behind them. Okay. With my partner to all sit behind them. So another user can also do that. Okay. So I'm paying, I don't know, $100, and I'm just dashing them the balance, whatever. Okay. Yeah, so it gave me balance. 69. Okay, great. So yeah, that's basically it about movie reserve. Okay. Additional features I like to talk about are the admin reporting endpoints. Okay, so yeah, let me show you an example. So this one particular one, okay, I can send a request to this particular showtime. Okay, so let me see, let me fetch all the showtimes and get all the showtimes. Yeah, so I have all the showtimes. I want this one from January 8th. January 8th. Okay, let me sub at that time and I send it on that. So now I'll sit down first. Alright, so I believe this one is this one. Yeah, January 8th. Yeah, this one. 19.5. Yes, exactly. So I can take the ID of this showtime, okay, and then I can once again this one is accessible to me as the admin, okay. So I can pass it here and I'll be able to get reports for this. My access taken access by. So the 15 minutes access by. I think it's probably long. So all I'll do is just get a new one. So I just refresh and I'll have the new access taken. The refresh token is also rotated. Okay, so I'll just get a new one, sign out and sign in again. Yeah, so the front end already handles this automatically. That's what the Axios instance does. Okay, so automatically, see if you make a request and you get an error like this one, access taken as expired with this 401 status code, it will know that okay, I have to refresh it and to do that automatically and then we make the request again. So great. So when I get the reports for this showtime, okay, it will give me the auditorium that the showtime was, the start time, the end time, the price, the number of reservations so far, and the total revenue. Okay, so yeah, some useful stats that you can display in a dashboard or something. Okay, there are other stats too. For example, think stats about reservations. Okay, there are stats there. Stats about auditoriums. Here you can get stats about auditoriums. You can also get stats about reports about a seat. Okay, so like you want to find out which particular seat gets the most chosen by people or something like that. Okay, yeah, that's the reporting feature. Okay, yeah, great. The next feature I'd like to talk about is the um, nice stuff that goes behind the scene. Okay, so such as the validation. Okay, so before the request even gets to the server side or yeah the actual server side to handle, there are um, validators that ensure that the request payload is valid. They're called DTOs. Okay, forgetting the full term, but that's what they do. They ensure that the payload that is coming is what the backend or the server side is expecting. Okay, so if there is something wrong with it, it's just going to reject it. It's not even going to get to the server side to process it. Okay, so that's one nice thing going on behind the scene. There's also error handling going on. Okay, so you see the server side provides you with useful error messages to let you know what's going on so that you know how to handle it. Okay, for example, the refresh token error, sorry, the access token error, if it expires, you're going to provide that custom message, and then the access instance will know that okay, you have to refresh it, and to do that and continue with the original request. Okay, and there is also logging of requests. So for debugging and monitoring, that's some nice like DX thing I did for myself. Okay, but any serious applications, so you need to ensure you have monitoring and logging set up. Okay, so that's something I can't show you because I'm only displaying this window. Okay, but it's something that is there. Okay, and then some other nice stuffs that are related to the front end are this theming, okay, theming, okay, light mode, dark mode support, okay, but as you can see, the dark mode is way better right here. So let's browse through the movies, okay. So you can get the movie details, like see this nice background image. You can click on this and it will automatically take you to that genre. Okay, so it will filter by that particular genre. Okay, to show all movies in that particular genre. Okay, so if I pick this one, it's drama. I can filter all dramas to see other dramas available. So I pick this one, just crime, drama, and romance. This I pick romance. Okay, so I can see other romance movies that are available. Okay, great, which is cool. All right. Yeah. Another thing is the optimistic UI updates. I'm not sure how to demonstrate that to you, but the what it means is, let's say you perform imitation, for example, canceling a reservation. Okay. Yeah. Let me see. Yeah. So let's say I want to cancel this reservation cancellation. So this maybe is mine, so I want to cancel. I know this one, afford this one. Okay, since I've already bought this one, I'll cancel this one. Okay, so if I cancel this reservation, you see, you realize that you see it immediately updated the this thing. It doesn't wait on it to refresh. So it's immediately back to 218. Okay. The other two is reserved by the other user join. Okay. So that's what's optimistic UI and that's okay. So you don't need to refresh the page to see the changes. Okay. It's done automatically and very fast. Okay. Great. Another thing is the notifications, the toast notifications too. So, for example, if you yeah, you probably notice that green thing that came. Okay, if I do something and there's an error too, it's going to turn red. Okay, great. Those are the toast notifications. All right, and the last thing I would like to mention, I think, is the responsive UI, which is very cool. So I want to leave this part and so you can see me. Okay. So I'm going to open a new tab. Let me duplicate this one. Okay. So it's yeah, it's back. So let me show you how the responsive UI thing works here. So I'm going to use this what's the name? This oh forgetting there's a name for it. Web Chrome web is a web something. Extension. Okay, this extension. Okay. So you see it's very nice mobile. So you can view the movie cards, really nice UI. You can see your accounts, you can sign out, delete accounts. I'll go back to delete accounts. Okay. So um light being dark being this Showtime, let me go to movies page. Okay. So really nice on mobile. Okay, let me change the device to tablet, iPad 11 Pro. Alright, so it's also nice. Yeah, okay, very beautiful, cool. One thing about building modern applications nowadays is to ensure that they look really nice or accessible on all device size, okay, especially on mobile devices because most people nowadays use mobile devices, okay, yeah. So it's very good to ensure that the application is responsive, okay. And let's see how it is on desktop, okay, great. So yeah, looking nice, very beautiful. All right, so yeah, that's about the responsive design thing. Great. So let me sign out and show you how the application deletion works. Okay. But when you are signing in and you forget your password, okay, you can click on this and enter your email. As I should just show you. Yeah. So um, a request a link is being sent to that email. Okay. So I'm going to check and then I'll show you. Okay, the link is not coming. Probably there's something wrong with the emailing. Okay, it will come later. Yeah, but you'll get a link. Okay, and when you have that link, you click on it. It will take you to the reset password page. This is how it will be like. Okay, let me copy this because I don't want to leave this page. Okay, so let me open a new tab and paste it here. Alright, so this is how it's going to be like. If this token is valid, okay, and you send a request, you to be able to update the password. So you enter a new password and you confirm that new password and then you click on reset password. Okay. The backend, let me show you an example. So let me just copy and paste this one. This token is invalid, so if I try to reset this password, it's going to reject. Okay, so the token is invalid or it has expired. I think the duration is about an hour or so. Okay, so you need to ensure that you are resetting your password within that duration. Okay, so that's about the resetting of password. One thing I want to show you is the deleting of an account, okay, and how the cleanup works. Okay, so let me sign as normal Gideon editing. Okay, okay, great. So we know that I've made a reservation to this movie. Okay, and John Doe has also done reservation. Okay, and John Doe has done reservation to this movie too. It's a Wonderful Life. Okay, so what's going to happen when John Doe deletes um, his account is that all related information, such as his reservations, are also going to be deleted. Okay, so it's no longer on the platform. Okay, so those things are going to be available for other users to um, use. Okay, great. So let me show that. I'm going to sign out. Then I'll sign in as John Doe. Okay, great. So I'm signed in as John Doe. Okay. So what I can do is go to my account and delete account. So yeah, you get a confirmation, a notification that this action cannot be undone. Okay, so you're going to permanently delete the account and the profile information. So if you try to sign again with that information, it's going to reject it. It's going to say that it doesn't know this user. Okay, because you deleted the account. Okay, and all your reservations as well as their associated data such as your reserved seats are also going to be deleted. Okay, so if you confirm, then your account is deleted. Okay, great. So to confirm that the account is deleted, I'm trying to sign in like in Azure. Great. So invalid email and password. Okay, but if I sign in as Gideon and I check the reservations, okay, so you see that this one is back to 220. It was quite slow because the cascading is running. Okay, it was still running. Okay, so it's back to 220, and think this way it sees that you're reserved. It's not available and I can reserve them if I want to. Okay, the sees that I reserve initially to these ones. The A4, A52 has also been reclaimed, so it's accessible to existing users on the platform, which is very cool. Okay, yeah. So yes, that's all about Moviereserv. Okay, I hope you learned something from it. Okay, so yeah, one note that I should let you know is the backend is sorry, the database is running on Supabase. It's on Supabase cloud. Okay, so because I'm using the free version, what they do is I think after a week or so they pause it. Okay, meaning if you try to access the application, it's not going to work. Okay, so if you are using the trying to use the application and you're experiencing errors, okay, it's likely due to that the Supabase has paused the backend. Okay, so you can reach out to me and then I'll go to my Supabase account and I'll resume it so that you can try out the application. Okay, great. So yeah, and also maybe sometime in the future, I'll make a tutorial video on how I built it or how you can build something similar. Okay. Yeah, so this is a very great application. It's really complex, as you can see. It's an advanced project that you can use to practice your skills or something like that. Okay. Okay, so thank you for watching, and I hope to see you soon in the next video. Yeah, I'll probably be uploading a new video soon. Okay, so thank you for watching and bye.